NYPD. That's exactly what two businessmen are accused of doing tonight, using everything from luxury vacations to jewelry, even prostitution.
And it has 4 cops on the wrong side of the law. We have team coverage of this huge development in the corruption scandal with every detail of the alleged scheme. Let's start with CBS 2's Christine Sloan.
Busted in the NYPD corruption scandal, Deputy Inspector James Grant, commanding officer at the 19th Precinct in Manhattan, and Deputy Chief Michael Harrington. The government alleging businessman Jeremy Reichberg showered Grant with 2 trips, a raunchy one to Las Vegas during the Super Bowl, where the feds say Grant got his own private jet and prostitute, and then another trip to Rome where Grant and his family got to stay at a pricey hotel. The U.S. attorney says for Grant, it wasn't enough.
2 years after the Super Bowl trip to Las Vegas, and Grant is complaining that he hadn't been invited that year. Quote, "You didn't invite me to the Super Bowl. What the F?"
Grant also getting $12,000 in home improvements for his house on Staten Island, jewelry for his wife, and a video game system for his kids.
Grant also complained that his 2 elves, referring to Reichberg and the cooperating witness, had not come by with gifts that Christmas as they had done in prior years.
They have cooperating witnesses that we believe will not hold up under cross-examination.
The government alleges Harrington's gifts ranged from Nets and Rangers tickets, hotel rooms in Chicago, to $75,000 in payments to a security company run by his family.
The victims are the citizens of New York, who rely on their public servants to fulfill their sworn duty.
NYPD Police Commissioner Bill Bratton says Grant and Harrington, set to retire next week, have been suspended.
This case shows whether you're a cop or a chief, if you break the law, you'll be handled the same way.
Grant and Harrington making their first court appearance here in federal court behind me in the last hour. As you heard, Grant's attorney saying that his client is an exceptional father and police officer. I tried to speak to Harrington's attorney. He had no comment. We're live in Lower Manhattan. Christine Sloan, CBS 2 News.
All right, Christine, thank you. For the 2 businessmen at the center of today's corruption charges, it wasn't just about fixing tickets. Investigators say it was also being able to turn high-ranking cops into pawns.
Oh, come on.
Demands from their friends at the top of the NYPD food chain. Many are what are called big asks.
U.S. Attorney Preet Bharara, a description of what they got is jaw-dropping.
They got, in effect, a private police force for themselves and their friends. Effectively, they got cops on call.
U.S. Attorney Preet Bharara mincing no words, explaining what Borough Park businessman Jeremy Reichberg and a confidential witness previously identified as real estate investor Jonah Rechnitz reportedly got in exchange for wining, dining, and gifting 2 top cops in the NYPD. Deputy Inspector James Grant, the commanding officer of the 19th Precinct, and Deputy Chief Michael Harrington.
When they needed to get somewhere quick, they called on Grant and Harrington for a police escort, and they got it. Lights, sirens, and all.
And as FBI agents raided Reichberg's Borough Park home, carrying out boxes of evidence, the feds claimed Reichberg got help getting a gun permit and even using NYPD resources to investigate civil matters.
When Reichberg's jewelry business had problems with customers and competitors, he asked for and got help from Harrington to help settle those disputes.
But according to the feds, it was more than favors the 2 men sought. They wanted influence. Reichberg, who once identified himself as a fix-it guy, apparently thought of himself as so powerful, he called police brass to make promotion recommendations. In Grant's case, he asked a certain chief to make him the commanding officer of the 19th Precinct. According to the complaint, the chief put Reichberg and Rechnitz, quote, on the phone with Grant to be able to tell Grant that he was being promoted.
Reichberg didn't allegedly provide these gifts just to get his friends out of tickets. He was grooming Grant and Harrington to be his pawns, attempting to ensure his ability to exert undue influence over high-ranking officials in the NYPD and to the officers to come.
Could you comment on why you think it was so important for your confidential witness number 1 and for Mr. Reichberg to have that relationship with high-ranking members of the NYPD?
It's clear that what they wanted for the money they were spending and the gifts that were lavished and the trips that were lavished on these officers was the ability to do the official police action, escorts, access to events, the ability to get out of traffic infractions for them and their friends. There were lots of benefits they got over time on an as-needed basis.
Reichberg's lawyer defended her client.
We'll show in court he did nothing wrong. He's not a criminal and did nothing wrong.
Well, the feds also have testimony that Reichberg even got the cops to close down, ready for this, one lane of the Lincoln Tunnel and provide an escort to a businessman visiting the United States. I should point out that both businessmen gave generously to Mayor de Blasio. More on that coming up at 6.
Keep peeling back the layers on this case.
It's a lot of layers. It's like, as one person said, it's like an onion. You peel it back and there's more.
And you'll have more at 6.
Marcia, thank you.
All right.
We'll see you then.
Thanks, Marcia. More information now on this probe. A second complaint charges 2 more NYPD officers with taking bribes in exchange for gun permits. Investigators say Sergeant David Villanueva and police officer Richard Oshatel provided gun permits to Alex Shia Lichtenstein, who is also facing charges. Lichtenstein claims he paid $6,000 each and that he obtained
as I mentioned, firefighters getting the upper hand. You can see very
unlicensing unit pleading not guilty. He's cooperating with the feds.
There is breaking news in Paramus right now. Firefighters are battling a house fire. These are pictures from Chopper 2. Let's check in with Joe Bierman for more.
Was born in Flatbush. She was the mother of 11 children and 2-time cancer survivor. She recently moved to Orlando to spend more time with her children.